2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. How do I trust my recovery enough to face and overcome my deepest fears and avoid repeating history? Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin. What's up, Tyler?
Brannon, what's going on, man?
Not much. How is it? You're how many months away from being a grandpa now? Can I call you Gramps?
You can call me whatever you want, Brannon.
You're going to be a grandpa, dude. What? Holy crap, Grandpa Tyler.
Be careful what you're saying because you're only 18 months behind me in age, man.
Oh yeah, I know, but my kids are younger than yours, so I'm way younger than you.
I know. At heart, you are.
You got going quick,
yeah,
man.
What happened? I know it's the weirdest thing. Like, who becomes a grandparent in their 40s? Like,
yeah, I see you.
I guess a lot of people do, but you just don't think about it until you're like staring that abyss over the edge and going like, wow, like, what is it? Like almost, what are we at? September. So 2 months. We're 2 months out from the due date right now.
2 months? Really? She's that far along.
2 months. She's gonna, yeah, basically like, what do we have? We have the rising sun right at the end of September. And then, yeah, like just right before Thanksgiving. So close.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's the kind of thing that's like not really real yet, even though my daughter keeps growing. Like
which is crazy.
She's definitely like pregnant when you see her, but my head still hasn't registered that what's going to happen. So I'm excited though. I'm really excited.
A baby girl. Like I having girls in general is awesome. Having girls first is the best. So they're doing it right. So.
I don't know, man, but like I'm wondering, like I think my genetics are a terminal part of the Patrick line because I only produced girls. And now we've got our first one that's going to be a girl. So we'll see if we even produce any boys through my side of the line. It's up to you, Brannon.
It's crazy to think that my two boys in our family are the only ones that will carry on the Patrick name.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah. I better raise them right.
Yeah. Lots of pressure, man.
Yeah. So anyways, we could chat all day, Tyler, but we have an awesome guest with us today. JD, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be here.
we're really happy that you're here. And if you could, you have an awesome question, the type of question that Tyler and I just really like, because you're a man searching and working and trying to be conscious for recovery. Like it's awesome. So, but give us a little bit of background. Tell us what's going on. Help us understand where you're at.
Okay. Well, I think place to start is that I am admitted that I am a sex and porn addict. I'm in active recovery. That all came about, I mean, just briefly history. I mean, I've lost a job. I'm divorced twice, another significant relationship lost because of my acting out behavior. So I've been to like the depths of this thing. It has just tore me up and chewed me up and spit me out, I think. At the end of my last marriage, that was 9.5 years, I realized I looked at myself and I couldn't hide from the truth anymore. And that's that I had a problem that was bigger than me that I needed help with. So I went to a 12-step group. I got a CSAT therapist who coached me to go there. Even though, even with that, I still don't want to be there, but I'm glad I did because I've been there for about 5 years, and in that time, had some long bouts of recovery, like 11 months, 10 months of complete total abstinence away from porn. I had like 4 years away from it completely, which is amazing for where I was. I never would have believed that could happen. Um, and right now I'm at 6 months of sobriety. So in the process of that recovery, I started to date again. I had gone through a divorce, so I started to date again, and I had to do it old school because I couldn't get on the porn app or the porn apps, the dating apps that to me were essentially like porn apps. I mean, I just couldn't stop like looking at pictures and stuff and scrolling. So did it old school. Met this amazing woman. We dated long distance for a while over a couple states, and luckily I had somebody in my life who coached me that before we got into a serious relationship, I needed to let her know who and what I was, my history. So I worked through that and I did it. Not like date one or anything, but it was, far enough along that we knew where it was headed. And I'm really grateful she decided that I was somebody that she could be with. And that's another gift of my recovery. But uh, so we're in the relationship. We're about 2.5 years in, or 3 years now, actually, in our relationship. I've moved to where she's at, so that we can continue to date. And we're facing something. We're engaged now, and we're facing some things, and I'm facing some things around it. Um, I relapsed about a year ago, and it took me about 6 months to get back to recovery. And I think that opened her eyes a lot as to what this addiction really was. I think she knew, I told her, but she didn't really experience it. And the relapse woke her up to some things, to what it really is like. She got into some recovery on her own, of a group, and we're now going through it together. And I am staring down the barrel of some real fears that I didn't know that I had until I got here. And that's that we're engaged to get married. And I have messed up so many relationships in my life and hurt so many women that I'm terrified of doing it again. I trust my recovery. I know I've changed. I see that. I don't think I'm all the way where I want to be, but one of the things I delayed the engagement because I wanted to make sure I had some recovery before we did. I couldn't see myself staring across the aisle or looking at her and making vows when I wasn't sober. So I'm there now, and I'm trying to move this thing forward. And I'm just looking like the question is, I'm trying to figure out how to accept my history, but not accept that that's how it has to be. Like trust my recovery. I don't want to go there again, put her through that again. Um, we've got some other fears. I've got some other things like with her. She's got a daughter, two daughters. One lives at home that's a 15-year-old girl, and trying to be a good stepfather to her. I'm not trying to step in and be dad or anything, but she's a tough personality and she's got some wounds, some real wounds, and she doesn't trust me worth one bit. And I want to be trustworthy. I can't make her trust me, but I want to be trustworthy and have confidence in that. So
Mhm.
that's why I'm here, is to get some help with trying to take that next step of getting married, living in this house with this teenage girl and women that my only history has been to hurt.
Hmm.
And dude, I'm so glad you're here, man. Um, can you, before we dive too far into this, can you just kind of describe, I don't even know if you have words for this, but your most recent, if I understand right, your most recent divorce was 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and you've been dating her for 3 years. And you said something along the lines of like basically the last 4 to 5 years, you've had real changes happen in your recovery that you know and can feel are authentic that maybe hadn't been there in the past with other tries or chances or whatever. I'm wondering a couple of questions there just to try to understand where you're at. What are the differences and what moved the needle to help with those differences?
Well, I think the biggest difference is a recognition of who I am as a whole person, the good and the bad. I used to just be like had the mask of putting on the good and the person I wanted to be and just trying to tell people that. But I accept that I'm not always that person. Like really just a real view of who I am. Some of my character defects, I gossip, I hold resentments, I get angry but when I mess up, I'm willing to go and own it. I don't have to save face anymore. I'm over that. I've lost enough of it in my life because of the addiction that I can just go and say, hey, look, I screwed this up. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do better. And then not only just say that, but actually put it into practice and do things differently and overcome some stuff and build relationship, build trust. The shame, I had so much shame before recovery, and something at some point clicked where I don't have to earn my place in this life. I don't have to earn who I am. People like me, people don't like me. That's okay. I gave up a lot of the nice guy stuff, like being willing to just sacrifice myself so much that to make somebody like me, and then they don't like me, and I resent the hell out of them. I don't have to do that anymore. I can just say, hey, look, here's me, take it or leave it. I don't mean that in a way that would that I'm not trying to bull over people or anything, but just this is who I am, and you don't have to like it all. We could still be friends even if you don't like it all. That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've got a network of guys around me, a sponsor in my program who know who I am and they give me good advice. They're willing to call me on the BS that sometimes comes up of my own pride, my own stories that I tell myself. They're willing to call me on that. And I'm also coaching some guys, helping some guys do that. And that's huge for me too, because I say something to them. I don't know if you all have ever experienced this, but I say something to them and it's like, oh, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Why don't I take my own stupid advice? That'd be a good idea.
Maybe on
Those
a
are some of
daily
the things that
basis.
what's that?
I said maybe that's a daily basis for me sometimes.
It's pretty close to that for me too. Yeah.
JD, have you? I really like what you're saying about acceptance of self, loving yourself, really not getting your worth from other people. Do you feel like you've done that? You're accepting your flaws, your mistakes, who you are, living your life in the light more. Do you think you've done that with your sexual self, your sexuality, and who you are?
No, no, I don't think so. I don't think I trust my sexuality. I'm not sure
Right.
that I fully trust that engaging fully in that way that I can not go back to just using and abusing.
Right. The reason I like your honest answer, the reason I ask is because if your sexuality is a part of you, right? We can all agree on that. It's a big part of who we are. But if that sexuality piece is surrounded around shame or secrecy or self-rejection, then what's going to happen down the road? And you've had this happen in your other relationships where there's a sexual part of you that is like so like scary to own. You want to keep it hidden in the darkest, deepest place that you possibly can. But let's say something happens where it comes out a little bit, or and you start to isolate, go back into that secrecy again, and then you feel like you're living a lie with your current partner, and you're back in that same place yet again. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Coming to terms with your arousal template and loving all of who you are as a sexual being doesn't mean that you act out on that. But what you just said is like, but I don't know, Brannon. Like I don't know if I trust myself because I've been compulsive.
I've blown stuff up before.
Yeah.
Right.
With that.
Yeah.
And the I guess the lie here is that self-rejection and trying to control in that way actually keeps you safe from acting out. The reality is not self-rejection, but compassion, loving your shadow, loving your sexuality, loving who you are actually helps you have control to integrate your sexuality into a really healthy relationship in your marriage or in your relationship. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, we're in a relationship. We do have sex, and it's just I don't feel fully seen or known in that. And we do have the conversations, like there's intimacy without sex. Like I think based on what I hear and read, really in a healthy spot, except there's this one little piece of it. And it's funny that you're hitting that. It's that I don't feel fully known. There is some element of control still happening there because of the fear of once that's out, what do I do? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and can she handle that? Like, is she going to work with me through that? Again, I can't believe I'm doing it. I've got some ED issues. I'm older,
Mm-hmm.
some things that happen. I think it could be porn induced. I don't know, but that's a struggle too. I feel emasculated. I feel demoralized. I feel like, is she going to want to stay with me? Because I can't, she's already expressed sometimes how she feels like it's her fault because
Mm-hmm.
I've had this sexual history and now we're together and I struggle and it's not her fault. Like I'm way attracted to this woman. She's hot. I love her. I told her this the other night. When I see her body, I don't see just a body. I see all the other depths of conversations and moments where she's loved me like I've never been loved, moments where I've been able to show up for her in ways. It's all like together, which I've never experienced before.
There's a discrepancy between the two things you just said. I don't feel seen. I feel not enough. And yet when I see her, I see all the ways she's loved me in ways that I've never been loved before. Do you see the discrepancy between those two things?
Mm-hmm.
And the question is can your sexual relationship or intimacy with her make up for that, or is there something else at play here?
Mm.
And I would guess it's something else at play, and it's the thing that has driven the sex addiction from the very beginning. Like you could hear when you talked about the ED, you could Tyler and I could feel the deep loathing and shame that's still there. Right? I don't want to speak for you, Tyler, but
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like I think I'm hearing that, and I'm just going. Anybody in your shoes would feel some of that doubt, some of that shame, some of that fear, some of that desire to like feel like something's broken or something inside of me. That's a normal response. But then Brannon's getting at, but is there something else underneath it now that confirms the story that was already there? Right? The story that's already there is that I can't be trusted with my sexuality. If people saw my sexuality, they would reject me. And I probably learned that in some ways from somewhere that led to ways of coping and living that included not just the acting out with porn and sex, but all of the things that help perpetuate it. Secrecy, hiding, lying, deception, shrinking, manipulation, like all those other things all stem down to the story. Like, what is the story? And I think where Brannon's going is he's talking about your sexual rejection because that's like probably the most obvious place to go with this because most people are there. But really what I think it is any place in my life, any parts of me that I am still self rejecting will actually be some of the places that will become the sticking points in my ability to connect with my partner later on.
Mhm.
Because I won't be able to be fully authentic until I make peace with those parts of myself.
I've experienced that in other ways, and
Mhm.
I'm hearing what you're saying, and I I never looked at it that way. What I'm hearing is you guys saying that there's like a sexual repression sort of thing happening where the fear, I'm controlling it out of fear, and this is what I'm hearing you say it, and I actually identifying with it and relating to it, that I'm the fear, I'm blocking it. And that's the same thing I did with just the rest of me before, where if anybody told me they loved me, I never fully believed them because I didn't know that there's this voice of, you don't even know who I am. And why
That's
don't
so
you know
true.
who I am? Because I'm not showing you who I am. And so it's this self-fulfilling
And because I
prophecy.
already have a story of who I am that you're not agreeing with,
Hmm.
it's my
Yeah,
story that's the problem. It's not their story that's the problem in that moment.
right.
If
Yeah.
let's just kind of let's cut down to the chase here just a little bit. So, JD, why do you have a sex addiction?
I don't know.
Okay,
I really don't. I mean, I've done work on my past and my history, and it's not a great childhood. An addict father, and I could pin it all on that. But the truth is, I don't know. I just know it is what it is, and I'm using other tools to work through it.
let's try to connect the dots. So,
Okay.
what I just heard you say is I've worked extremely hard to figure out how to manage it. Like I've gotten, and I'm not discounting that. That's amazing. You've worked with CSATs, 12 step, like you've learned how to manage it. But let's connect the dots. Why do you have a sex addiction? Because unless we deal with that, unless we get down to the root of it here, you're going to repeat some of these behaviors in your relationship.
Mm.
And your sex addiction, this is going to sound really weird, but your sex addiction isn't about sex.
Mhm.
You're using it to soothe things,
Mhm.
to get answers in a way that you haven't figured out how to get those answers otherwise. And it's interesting that you went to, well, my dad was an addict and there's definitely wounds there, but like I just have it today and I've learning how to manage it. Um, you know, if we look at your trauma, when we look at some of the ways in which what Tyler said, the stories in which you live under, that'll be really helpful to understand why you're acting in these ways, right?
Mhm.
So what were some of the the messages from childhood that you got? Some of the things that you experienced.
Definitely a critical voice dad. A dad that even when I did things well, there was always something to improve. And I know he had my best interest in mind. I found myself doing the same thing with my kid.
Sure.
But all I heard was the criticism. So there's that. Not being enough is one of it's one of the voices that I've worked really hard to calm or combat. I don't know if that's the right term, but not believe.
So hang on. This is interesting because we're going to take current JD down to inner child, like how old, maybe 10, 12 years old,
I'd say
right?
6.
6 years
6.
old. Okay. 6 years old JD being taught or feeling like not enough. Current JD having erectile dysfunction. Do you see how the same feelings are there? The same identity is
Mm.
there. Can you
Yeah.
connect those dots? Do you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. I see the same feelings in some ways. And I do know that I used the sex and masturbation and porn and looking at underwear ads and all that stuff. I used all that to soothe. I definitely know that has been the case from a really early age. There's something about it that made me feel safe and comfortable, and no one else is going to take care of me but me. So, and this is how I'm going to do it. That's something that recovery has really helped me with. But yeah, you're that same
JD,
feeling.
look at what you're using to soothe. You're using sex. You're using women. You're objectifying the women to use to soothe, right? So,
Mhm.
and I would guess in your past relationships, it wasn't just about the secrecy and the acting out. They probably also felt used. You were using them for your self-worth, using them for your okayness, using them to feel like you were enough. So that wound when you were 6 years old saying you're not enough, you're taking that question to your wives, to your relationships, and saying, am I enough? Am I enough? Am I enough? Oh, I let you down. Oh, I can't perform sexually. There's more proof that I'm not enough. And then you feel less than, you feel resentful, you want them to validate you more. Those type of things can come up. But this is all stemming from the trauma, and it sounds like some big T and little t trauma. It's all stemming from that. That needs to be dealt with. That's where your real recovery takes place.
How do you deal with that? I mean, that's what I've been working with from day one of seeing a CSAT and doing some trauma therapy and going to, and I think that's the crux of my question is I'm still I mean, yeah, do I have some recovery, but I still have a lot of things, fear that's driving the bus, and sometimes get stuck, totally, completely stuck in, I just don't want to move forward because it's probably just going to all end up in the trash again, in a dumpster fire again, is honestly the narrative that I have
I
at
know
times.
it's like a hard spot for you to be in so courageously to come on this show and basically like be told, in a certain sense, be told that part of the risk that you need to take in order to move forward, and this was about the relationship kind of in the first place, was how do I not let my fear ruin this thing? And now in essence, part of what Brannon's saying is I need to keep doing my own roots work in terms of that. But part of the roots work is that I have to go and I have to not reenact the same traumas I always did, which means in the context of my relationship, I need to be an active work in progress and do that openly with the person that I'm dating, which means she might reject you. Right? It's like you're right at this place where you've got this cave that you fear to enter, which is the feeling of not measuring up, getting rejected. And the pathway forward is to cultivate the kind of relationship where somebody will walk through that fire with you because they see all of you. And the story would say that if she rejects you, it's proof that you suck and you're no good, when in reality, the pathway forward is if she stays, you found the right person to be with. And if she doesn't, then you're going to go develop another relationship and you're going to try again and you're going to be authentic no matter what, which is really hard when shame has been in the driver's seat for so long. But what you're doing, and before we go too much further, I can hear it in you, and I just want to say this out loud. You're here on our show trying to get help from us, and so Brannon's pushing you really hard. I'm on the other side of this.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what Brannon does. I'm on the other side of this.
I'm not done yet, by the way. But.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why, this is like the release valve for a second before Brannon presses again. But I hear the recovery. Like you got a heart that's driving yourself to your own progress. You've already made a lot of progress. I mean, the fact that you're coming on here on a show, and we asked you beforehand, hey, do you want to come on the show? We can change your name. You're like, nope, this is me. This is who I am. I can do this. That's evidence of the fact that you've already done a ton of work here. And I just want to acknowledge that even though you're getting pressed on right now, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater here. You've already made a ton of progress in the even in the realm that Brannon's talking about. So it's kind of a both and right now, and I just want to like acknowledge that to you, JD.
Thanks for acknowledging that, and Brannon, I appreciate it and respect it. Like lean in, I can handle. If recovery's taught me nothing else, I can handle this. It's uncomfortable, and I'm even getting a little bit upset, to be honest. But I know that's where the growth is. So keep leaning in, and I'll stay.
And you can push back a little with your upsetness too if you want, JD. That's fine too.
But one thing Tyler and I do all the time with our clients, and we have for years, is, and I'll let the cat out of the bag here a little bit. We're constantly assessing how much our clients can take in terms of pushing them into doing harder work. And sometimes we have to back off and build some more rapport and not get too close, to the pain. It's like we're like dentists and we're working with that nerve, and it's like, whoa, that's too close. Okay. And I feel from you, JD, that you came on here, like with a real question, that here you are looking at marriage again, and come hell or high water, you don't want to be in that same place again. So like, let's get down to business. Like, let's look at this and let's deal with it. Do you know what the Mount of Doom is? Mount Doom? Have you ever heard of that?
Can't say I do.
Well, it's in Mordor. So Frodo goes to Mount Doom.
We're measuring our nerd levels now. I got you.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're going to Lord of the Rings now.
And believe it or not, like, I'm not a nerdy fellow. I would own it if I was, but I do know Mount Doom, Mordor. You think of it like Frodo goes on this big long journey. Like, it's just it's hard. There's challenges all along the way to get to Mount Doom. Like, he goes on this big long journey to go to this place that is like scary and awful in Mordor. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? Well, it was the only place he could destroy the ring. It was the only place that he could. And so he had to crawl down in that volcano, in that lava, and go right there. Now, here's the deal. Tyler mentioned the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. There's layers of protective parts that don't want you to touch that exile part. But JD needs to go find that inner child, that 6-year-old, and not rescue him from the pain, but sit with him in it for a moment and allow yourself to feel it. And maybe you've done that in your therapy. Have you done that in your therapy, JD?
I've done some of it, but I've been told recently in the last maybe 6 months that I probably have some more work to do. There's been some things that have come up that are showing some trauma, and get some, go back and do some more work. And I've avoided it. To be honest, I've avoided it. I kind of went in one ear and out the other.
Interesting. And that's your protective part saying, too close to the nerve. Like, like, don't get to this exile. And you even did it with us. Like, I don't know if you noticed that when we started in, and you're like, yeah, there's trauma, but like, I got this thing and I want to deal with it over here. And but there's that trauma thing, right? Like, and that's your protective part saying, like, too sensitive, too much pain there. So with your therapist, when you say trauma work, have you done EMDR? What have you done to do trauma work?
Yeah, I did some EMDR, and then someone with like some heart-centered therapy. It was a little mix of, I don't know what. I really don't. I know that I got to some really deep stuff, like just the relief that I felt almost immediately afterwards. And it wasn't with my CSAT, that he actually referred me to somebody else who was a specialist in this stuff. So that's where I got some help. I'm having trouble. I sort of half-heartedly looked for somebody to go to now that I'm living in Utah, but not with a real desire to lean in. And so I could do some more work there. I'm scared of it. I am. I'm scared of, I know what it was before, and I know the relief that I got, but I also know how much that journey took out of me and I get a little choked up. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. And it was in the middle of a divorce when I was going through it too. So there's a lot of grief and other things wrapped up in it, but I'm grateful for it. That's some of the other emotions I'm having, is just the gratitude that I could get through it. I did some things that were harder than I ever imagined I could do to get there. Um, and to think I've got to go do it again. And that's what I'm hearing you say. There's more work to do here. It's like, it's a little disheartening. And it's also like, if I can remember what I did and how I felt afterwards, it's worth it. It's worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
There's no way you'd be at the spot you're at being pushed into this place if you hadn't done the work you did before.
Mhm.
And I think you're like, you're like most people. And what I like about what you said here, JD, is you acknowledge that there is a cost to the progress sometimes. Brannon and I feel this all the time, just on a one-on-one basis. When people come in and we were like, hey, we're going to do EMDR, we're going to do ART, or we have this program called the Healing Journey that walks people directly into and through their own caves. And we run our groups based on them. And it is like pulling teeth to get people to walk into some of the places we ask them to go, because it's really hard work. It's the cave everybody fears to enter that we're talking about. And for you to acknowledge that and say, hey, there's a price to that progress. And sometimes my heart falters. Like, that's legitimate. And sometimes it's like a breathing thing. There's a go on the in breath, and then there's a pause on the out breath. And it sounds like what you went and did today is you were in the midst of an out breath for a second. You came here and Brannon like increased your breathing really fast. and and now you get to decide if you want to rest a little longer or if you want to go in and start paying some of that price again for the growth. Now, remember, it's still growth. Right? You're not going back in and being like, "Oh, what I did in the past didn't work." You're going, oh my gosh, like I did all that work and I yielded a result. And now I'm looking at this new piece of myself that I could never even think about or touch. And now I'm considering whether or not I want to go dance with that part and actually make some peace with it. I couldn't have done that if I didn't have the last 5 years under my belt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's both.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I love seeing your heart, man. I was wondering what you were experiencing while Brannon was talking, because I'm like, if you're defensive, like maybe you don't want to go address it. Maybe you honestly believe, hey, look, I'll just keep addressing this thing right in my life right now, and maybe I'll heal all those deeper wounds by doing this now. So you can go and do that too. Like you still ultimately have the choice.
Well, I am defensive. Don't get me wrong. But I've learned that I've learned to use those as my cues. When my heart and everything in me, my gut right here just says, no, I look at that and say, yeah, that's where I gotta go. And I hate it. I don't love it, but it's what's brought me recovery. It's a little another piece of myself, of acceptance and just a sense of peace in my life that I haven't experienced before. So I'm hearing you, and it's landing, it's tough, but what I'm hearing is I gotta go get this EMDR or some trauma therapy around this, probably some more help. Lean into some of this, go into the cave, like you're saying.
I met a few weeks back with a client, and they there was a cave that they needed to enter, and so I met with them. We talked about it, and it was terrifying. We were talking about Mount Doom, so to speak, and they were like, "Yeah, I know, I got to deal with it. I know I got to go there," and I haven't seen them since. And I get why. I understand. When you're ready, you're ready. But JD, with your question and with your background, you're looking back on the outcomes of your life. You're looking back on like the things that you've created, and you're saying, I don't want to keep creating the same things. So what do I do? Well, you've gotten one thing that you've created is you've gotten good at managing things in your recovery. And so in this new relationship, well, it's not that new, but if you were to get married or actually take that step, that you'll manage for a while, but then when something happens or comes up and all of that shame's underneath and it pushes you into that thing that happens or comes up turns into a long-term thing or longer than you'd want it to be, then you're back in that same spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just like tell you just things that I think are really awesome and helpful to actually go and enter the cave to do that work. And before I do, I want to say it seems like you have the right type of um, you're able to surrender to do some trauma work, which is awesome. You're able to unburden those protective parts because you're saying like I've done some deep work, I've gotten there, I've felt things. So that's awesome. That means that
We know
okay,
you can do that. We know you
yeah.
can go there. Yeah.
Um, and Tyler, add in anything here, but I'm going to say this to you, JD, and part of you is going to be like, dang it, like, don't tell me it's that easy and that available and I can go do this. But it is. Like, you could get into Tyler or my practice for ART or EMDR in the next week or two. Like, you could get a session, you could get going into some deep trauma work, therapy wise. We could start in on some parts work. What I would do if you were my client is we'd start in on some parts work. We'd use that parts work to get into the ART, and the parts would actually help us. The parts work would actually help us in that ART process. And so that's what the therapy side would be in a therapy office. Also, like Tyler and I have talked about it so much, our audience is probably like nauseous with it, but our experiential, like our retreat, that's what we do there. We literally enter a cave. Like we literally do that deep soul experiential work around other men and help you get a better understanding of who you really are beyond the trauma. That's why we do experiential work, holotropic breath work, plant medicine, those type of things walk you in as you unburden that protective parts and surrender to a new knowing, a new understanding of self beyond what you were taught when you were a child. All of those things are available, and those aren't everything, but those are the modalities that we use to help people get to, we call it your white stone, or your true understanding of yourself, reclaiming your heart. Like, you've done this already, JD. It's awesome. You're not starting from square one here, but you can get involved in all of those things. It's a matter of whether you're ready, whether you want to, right? So, Tyler, anything you want to add to that?
I maybe have a couple of thoughts, but I want to just ask JD, how is everything Brannon saying landing with you?
About like the thing I can equate it to the most is when I first stepped into the 12-step meetings where I heard all these guys telling me my story before they knew who I was, like telling me all the things, and I was just repulsed by it. I couldn't, I knew it was the truth, but I just was like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? But I just kept going back and it happened. And I think I can fast forward. I can play that tape. I can sit here and dawdle with it and tinker with it and let it just kind of, but it's coming. I don't see myself getting married without having to do this work first. Otherwise,
Yeah.
exactly what Brandon played out, it's going to just be the same thing over again. And I am not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to her, and I don't want to do it to me. So it's got to happen. And you're not the first person to tell me it in various ways. So, and the fact that you're telling me this, you don't even know who I am, and you clearly know who I am. So I'm going to hear it and I'll make a call. I'll lean in. I'm ready. Let's go because I hate it, but I got to do it. I've experienced too many times in my life where I fight and I fight and I fight and I just get kneecapped, and I end up
Mm-hmm.
just bleeding out, just suffering, or I can just hit my knees and just do it. It's optional. It is optional.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ready to lean in and do it.
So you said you were repulsed, but then this emotion is coming out. Like Before I go to the repulse part, what's the emotion that just came out right now, JD?
It's like it's emotion, fear, um, understanding of like I can't. This is a point that I get to in my life where I see the fear, and rather than be ambushed by it, I put it in a headlock and I say, "Let's go." You're not going to ambush me. Yeah, it's not. I can't. It's not rid of it, but it's coming with me. So I I guess I feel some courage. I think would be the word, like the willingness to let's get into that cave. But I'm still scared. There's a little boy
I
in me
see.
that's just like,
So
"Are
it's
you
a mixed
kidding me?"
feeling then.
Yeah, yeah,
You're feeling the fear with that anybody would feel as Brannon's getting closer and closer to these parts of you, but you're also having something else well up inside of you that's like, I can do this, like I got this, like I have to take action. I you can't really have that courage without the fear. Um, but that's what I'm hearing you say.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say there's a little anxiety, but it's not all negative. And I'm trying to connect with what are the positive feelings that I'm feeling, and I think it's confidence. Although there's some trepidation with that. It's a false. It's not a false confidence. It's just an unknowing uncertainty. But there's like a good anticipation because that unknowing that I felt in the past and I've leaned into it, the other side is peace. So there's a hope. I'm feeling hopeful.
And let's talk about like your relationship and jumping into marriage. Where you're more likely to create a long-term healthy marriage by having gone through this process and done this work, or by avoiding the pain, managing it really well, and not dealing with the demons deep down. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
um, if your partner, and I don't know her at all, but if your partner's unhealthy, she'll want the person who doesn't go do the hard work so you can be unhealthy together. But then your relationship will corrode.
Yeah.
If she wants a healthy man, then she's absolutely going to stick with you even when you're in the depths of hell doing this work and coming out on the other side with peace. When you're hurting because you're dealing with the pain, with the trauma, when you're figuring out how to just totally be authentic, live on the surface, and you're already doing that, JD, but she's going to be like, heck yeah. Like that's the man I want because I want a healthy man. And I promise you, if that's who she is and that's what you've done, you're going to have a very different experience than what you had in your other relationships. But you won't know that until you lean into it and actually go through it. So,
I would just add one thought that I'm having too. Brandon might disagree, JD, and we're going off of like what a 45-minute call right now.
Mhm.
But I don't. I wonder if there's a part of you that's feeling kind of like hopeless too, that you finally found the right woman, but now you've got to go heal everything before you can get into this marriage. And I'm not sure it works that way exactly, if that's what you're feeling. I feel like being transparent about the work you're doing and the commitments you're making still allows for there to be progress in the relationship.
yeah.
So it's not like, okay, I better hurry and put things on hold with her until I go and conquer all my demons. No, it's if I'm going to go deeper with her, I'm going to let her know that I'm going to be working on conquering these demons. And then that gives her a chance to then be a partner who can support you while she continues to do her work if she chooses to. And in the long term, if the relationship continues, that will actually only work to rebuild trust deeper because she'll get to see the kind of person that you are and the life you're striving to live and the honesty that you're doing it with. So that's just a thought.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's not an either or. It can be both.
That's
JD,
right.
JD, we're running low on time. Is there any last questions or anything that you want to get off your chest before we wrap up?
No, I appreciate you leaning in, being willing to do that. Really challenging me. I've got, I'll take a look on your website. How do I get connected to either one of you guys?
Um, so for me, you can go to therapyco.org.
Mhm.
It's just therapyco.org, and you can find my website there. And look at the therapists that we have and contact me on the number on that. So,
Okay.
Tyler?
That'd be the best. I think the best place to kind of just get into any kind of connection you want would be reclaimyourheart.org. There's a free community there that you can start with, and then there's also the course I referenced. Plus, there's the opportunity to join groups or get therapy, whatever else you want to there. Or you can go to lovestrong.com if you're interested. I don't know what part of Utah you're in, but Brannon and I are both in Utah. You're probably sandwiched somewhere between us. So, but man, I got to just tell you, I'm so glad that you came on the show today, dude. Like you got good energy. You got good forward motion, at least from my opinion, outside perspective. It's a pleasure to talk with a guy like you who's sincerely interested in like being your best self. And like I just want to say thank you. You to me are a gift today.
Mm.
So thank you.
After all that you've been through, for that you're here talking to us, you're a fighter, you're a warrior. You're willing to keep going. And I don't think that we'll have this conversation and you'll do absolutely nothing with it. I think that you'll process it, you'll think about it, and you'll start moving forward and fight some more and do whatever you need to do to find real peace and healing. And you've already done so much of that. So thanks for coming on, JD. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks both.
Yeah. Thank you, JD. Thank you to our listeners. If you'd like to throw out some support for him, the best way to do that is either through the comments if you're watching it on YouTube, or go to the reviews on any podcasting platform and leave a review and mention him specifically. And man, we love what we do. And thank you to everyone who's here and who supports us. And until next time, keep on keeping on.